Right, so we'll start with question number 3. If anybody else has a doubt before that, you can send me. So question 3, one of you has sent me this question, so let's discuss it. So it says that the vector 0.4 I cap plus 0.8 j cap plus ck cap is a unit vector. Okay. Then find the value of c. So this is a very easy question. So the solution of this is, if this is a unit vector, that would imply that its magnitude is 1. So this magnitude should be 1. So square root of 0.4 square plus this should be 1. So now square both sides. So it will be 1 square, which is 1 only. So c square is 1 minus 0.8. So c should be square root of 0.2. One by root 5. That should become the magnitude of this. In fact, so basically there are two possible options, because this is plus minus, because this is telling us that c square is 0.2. So c can be plus or minus of square root of 0.2. So c can be either plus or minus of 1 by root 5. Okay, so out of the two, one of the options is given to us in the question, so that one would be the selected one. Okay, question number 6 next. Okay, we'll discuss fine. Anybody has any other doubt before question number 6, please let me know. Okay, so question 6, it is given to us that the vectors A and B are like this. And we have to say which of the statements is correct, okay, or rather which of the statements is incorrect. Now the first statement is saying that A is parallel to B. Now we will see that this statement is in fact correct. How we'll understand this statement is correct? One is that we can see that vector B is 2 times vector A. So it means that vector B is parallel to vector A. Okay, Harsh, I'll come back to 5th question. Just give me some time. So B is parallel to A is, if you just observe these two, you can see that B's x component is 6, which is 2 times A's x component, because A's x component was 3, and B's y component is 8, which is again 2 times A's y component, because A's y component was 4. So that means you can see over here that the vector B is nothing but 2 times vector A. It is. So we can clearly see that from the definition of multiplication of vector by a scalar, we can parallel. So that is one method. Okay. Now since these are 2-dimensional, we can also do it by another method. we can also understand it by just drawing the vectors. So if you draw an xy plane, but that we can do only because it's two-dimensional. Okay, so because it is two-dimensional, we can get away with this method of actually drawing A and B. So the vector A, you can see in this case, is nothing but a vector of magnitude 5, okay, making an angle of 37 degrees, sorry, 53 degrees with the x-axis. You can see vector A would be like this. This angle would be 53 because so the magnitude of A would be 5 and theta would be equal to tan inverse of 4 by 3, that is 53 degrees with respect to x-axis. Now when you notice the vector B, you see it's the same thing, but its magnitude is becoming 10 instead. Its magnitude is double, but the angle is the same. So in the same diagram, vector B would be lying like this. So again be 53 degrees because that's another note. Okay. So that's how we are saying option A is correct. Now from that we can automatically see option B is also correct, because option B was saying that mod A by mod B is half. So we can see that's immediately correct. Okay. Option C is also correct, we can see, because mod A is given to us as 5 and that is what it is, we just saw this. Is 5. Okay. This is correct, but option D is the wrong one because it is saying that mod B is 40. So this is incorrect. So ultimately this is the one that we will mark in the answer because we've been asked to find the incorrect option. Okay. Now one thing I want to discuss here, the condition for two vectors to be parallel. This one was easy because it was two-dimensional. Okay. But we can find a more general sort of method to check if two vectors are parallel. So note down the solution, those of you have a doubt in the sixth one. But additionally, you can make a note of this one, or you can say condition for two vectors to be parallel. For A and B to be parallel vectors. Okay. Now this is where what we discussed in the last lecture will become very important. Okay. If A and B are parallel, okay, then they should subtend the same angles, or they should cut the axis with the same angles. Identical angles, alpha, beta, and gamma, with respect to x, y, and z axis, respectively. Okay. So this condition we are doing in general 3D vectors case, in three-dimensional system. Okay. So that means their direction cosines cos alpha, cos beta, and cos gamma should be identical. That is for A and B. Okay. Because both should make the same angles. So now you can see that therefore cos alpha is ax upon mod A. That should be equal to, for B, it is bx upon mod B. So this means that Ax upon Bx should be equal to A by B. Okay. But that is just one statement. Now along with that, not only cos alpha should be equal, but also there's an AND condition that cos beta should be equal for both of them. So Ay upon A should also be equal to By upon B. So that means the ratio of Ay upon By should also be A upon B. Should be the same ratio. Okay. And likewise, this should also be equal. Okay. So therefore, we can see that for two three-dimensional vectors A and B to be parallel, okay, all three conditions, that is 1, 2 and 3, must be satisfied. Okay. So that means if you combine the three, you will see that Ax upon Bx should be equal to Ay upon By, should be equal to Az upon Bz, should be equal to A by B. So obviously, if these three rate, then they will be equal to the ratio. So this becomes a necessary condition. So this becomes the condition needed. Okay. Just make a note of this, and we will discuss some more examples of this in 3D case also. Now, in 2D, it reduces to just Ax upon Bx is equal to Ay upon By. Okay. So if this were for 2D vectors A and B in xy plane, okay, parallel condition gets somewhat simplified. It just becomes Ax upon Bx should be equal to Ay upon By, and that only becomes equal to A by B. So you can see in that example, so you can see that here this was happening. Ax upon Bx is equal to Ay upon By is equal to half, which is also the ratio of their magnitudes. So therefore they are parallel vectors. So just make a note of this. The condition for A and B to be parallel in the general 3D case. No, it is not any one of the three, Bhavesh. It is all three conditions that to be satisfied. Ax upon Bx must be equal to Ay upon By, must be equal to Az upon Bz. Suppose the ratio of Ax and Bx is equal to Ay and By, but the ratio of Az and Bz is different, then they will not be parallel. Okay, I will show with an example. So see what I have boxed in the end, that box bracket, na, Ax upon Bx must be equal to Ay upon By, that must be equal to Az upon Bz. That is the condition for parallel vectors. Yeah, yes, I will take you through the whole solution. Okay, I cannot zoom out more, it will become too small. So write it down part by part. Okay, this is the first part of it. Then write down the second. Okay, so let us solve this with an example. Which part? The question that we solved earlier, that one? Yes, you want the solution to this question number 4? I mean question number 6. Okay. Okay, so hope that is done now. Yes, it's clear. Okay. So let us quickly understand this theorem with an example. So given vector A for us is 2 I cap minus 2 root 2 j cap plus 2 root 2 k cap. Now, which of the following is or are parallel to vector A? Okay, just work this out quickly. Should be pretty simple. Yeah, so you'll see that the correct answers here are both D and E. These two are parallel, whereas these two are not. Okay. Because you can see that AX upon BX is half, EY upon BY is again half, but AZ upon BZ is not half, it is minus half. Okay. So immediately you can see that therefore A and B are not parallel. Similarly, you can see that AX upon CX is 2, AY upon CY is also 2, but AZ upon CZ is equal to minus 2. So again they are not parallel. But if we check this one out, you can see that AX upon DX is equal to AY upon DY is equal to AZ upon DZ. All three are equal. It doesn't matter what they are equal to. Value kitna, it doesn't matter. Just these three should be equal. But in this case, you can see they are equal to 2. So this means that A and D are parallel. Okay. And same for this. You can see that 2 by 3. So I'll just show you another way of verifying it, but this formula is enough. Okay. So for example, you can see that if you consider A and B are considered, the vector E being 2 I cap minus 2 root 2 j cap plus 2 root 2 k cap. So you can see its direction cosines are, so magnitude of A here you can see is root 20. So cos alpha is 1 by root 5. Cos beta is minus root 2 by 5. And cos gamma is equal to root 2 by 5. But if you look at the vector B, which is I cap minus root 2 j cap minus root 2 k cap. So the magnitude of B is root 5. So cos alpha is 1 by root 5. So these two are equal. Cos beta is minus root 2 by 5. So these two are also equal. But cos gamma for this one is minus of root 2 by 5. So this is not equal. Okay. So therefore alpha beta are same, but gamma is not the same for A and B. Okay. And that is why they are not parallel. Therefore, but for example, if you check A and D or A and E, all the three direction cosines are going to come same. Cos alpha will be same for A and D, cos beta will be same for A and D, and cos gamma will be same. That means both the vectors A and D are making the same angles alpha, beta, and gamma with respect to the x, y, and z and actually parallel. So the condition for parallel vectors, all you need to remember is this one, that if two vectors are parallel, the ratio of their x components must be exactly equal to the ratio of their y components, and that must also be equal exactly to the ratio of the z components. So both the equalities within this box, they have to be satisfied. If just one ratio is equal to the other but the third one is not the same, they will not be parallel. Okay, so hope this is clear to all of you. So Bhavesh, I think you made some mistake with the part E, but otherwise, okay, so we'll come back to question number 5 in the worksheet next. Okay, no issues. Hope you understood it now. So question number 5 is like this. We have three forces of magnitudes 3 newtons, 4 newtons, and 12 newtons acting in mutually perpendicular directions. You want to find the magnitude of their net. Okay. So here we can make use of three-dimensional coordinate system. So what we can say, that if on a body like this, the forces acting are like this, they are mutually perpendicular. So let's say this is force F1 and is acting along the x-axis. This is force F2 is acting along the y-axis, and this is force F3 is acting along the z-axis. So you can see that we can write F1 as 3 I cap, F2 as j cap, and F3 will accordingly become 12 k cap because they are mutually perpendicular. So what that means is that F1 is perpendicular to F2, F1 is perpendicular to F3 also, and F2 is perpendicular to F3. So this is the meaning of it. Yes, very good, Bhavesh, that's correct. Okay. So now the resultant of this, the net force, is the vector sum of this. So therefore, the net resultant of these three forces is F1 plus F2 plus F3. So we have to just do the vector addition in component form and then find the magnitude, for which we have the formula. The magnitude of a three-dimensional vector we know is square root of, so this is the net force. Okay. So its mod will become square root of x component square plus y component square plus z component square. So that is 9 plus 16 plus 144. So that is 13. So that should become the answer. So hope this question is fully clear. Okay, let us move to question number 8 next. Okay, so let's move at question number 8 next. So it's saying that a unit vector perpendicular to the resultant of vectors A and B is which of these? Okay. So it's saying that we have to find, or given A and B, okay, we have to say that which of these is a unit vector perpendicular to the resultant of A and B. And then some options are given to us. Okay. So we'll come to this thing. So what we have to do is first we have to find the resultant of A. So the vector A is given to us as 8 I cap minus 6 j cap, and the vector B is given to us as 8 I cap plus 8 j cap, and these options are I cap minus 8 j cap by 65. Okay, then this one is I cap plus 8 j cap by square root of 65. Then this one is I cap minus 8 j cap by square root of 65, and this is none of this. Okay, so what we should do here is we should first find the resultant of these two. So this resultant is A plus B. Okay. So that is equal to how much? It is 16 I cap minus, sorry, plus 2 j cap. Okay. This is the resultant. Now we want the unit vector. Let's say that unit vector is n cap, okay, which is perpendicular to the resultant of A and B. So what is the condition for perpendicularity? That dot product should be Z. Okay. Then the unit vector n cap is perpendicular to the resultant of these two vectors R. Okay. So let's start with this. Now if we check, the problem with this is not a unit vector. How I know it's not a unit vector? Check its magnitude. Check mod of so you'll see so it is 1 by root 65. So that is not equal to 1. No? So this option is ruled out because of that rule. Okay. Now if we check the second option, you can see that yes, it is a unit vector. Because we check the magnitude of this, so that is equal to 1. Okay, but at the same time, if we check n cap dot product with R, so we will get how much? We will get 1 by root 65. You can take common, okay, and we have 1 into 16, okay, plus 8 into 2. So that is not 0. Okay. So therefore n cap is not perpendicular to the resultant. So again, this is also ruled out for that reason. Okay. But if we check the third one now, this one, we can check that firstly, it is a unit vector. Let's say we denote it with m cap. Because magnitude of this one is equal to 1. And if we check m cap dot r, so that is this vector dot product with r, which is 16 I cap plus 2 j cap. So you can see it is 1 into 16 plus minus 8 into 2. So that is in fact 0. So that means yes, that this is the one. So therefore m cap is perpendicular to r. So that becomes the correct option. So this is an important question in that sense. You have to be little alert about the question, what it is asking. So both the conditions has to be satisfied. That first of all, is it a unit vector or not? Because they are asking for a unit vector perpendicular to the resultant. And secondly, if it is a unit vector, then is it perpendicular to the resultant or not? So condition for perpendicularity we discussed last time. For two vectors to be perpendicular, like we discussed for parallel today, like that. Condition for any two vectors A and B to be perpendicular is that their dot product should be 0. Or in other words, ax into bx plus ay into by plus az into bz. This should be 0. This is the perpendicularity condition. Whereas the parallel condition we had discussed today, it is ax upon bx should be equal to ay upon by should be equal to az upon bz. So both of these are very important little tricks while solving questions. Just make a note of this also, please, all of you. No, it is not vector. It is 0, no? Because scalar product is a scalar quantity vector. If we write the resultant of two vectors, oh sorry, yeah, it should not be 0 vector. It should just be 0. Yes, you're correct. This should not be null vector. This should just be 0 because it's a scalar quantity. That's correct. So in this we are able to prove that m cap dot r is in fact coming out to be 0. So that is the condition for them to be perpendicular. Whereas here you can see this was not 0. Therefore they are not perpendicular. And the first option had a different problem. There it's not about whether it's perpendicular or not. The vector itself is not a unit vector. Its magnitude is not 1. Okay, any other questions from this exercise? Okay, right, question number 10. Okay, I'll discuss. Ten, 11, and 12. Okay, we'll discuss all three. Okay, so let's move on to question number 10 next. So it is saying that resultant displacements of magnitude 6 and 8 is 10. So what about their dot product? Okay, so let's say magnitude of the first vector, which is a displacement of 8. Second vector has a magnitude of 6, is it? Yeah, 6 and 8. I just written in reverse order, it doesn't matter. And the magnitude of the resultant, which is mod of A plus B, is 10. So from this we have to find their dot product. Okay, so this is very easy. You can just use the principle that mod of A plus B is square root of A square plus B square plus 2AB cos theta. Okay. This is the first thing, and A dot B is defined as AB cos theta. That is the second thing. Okay. So from equation 1 you can see that A plus B's magnitude, if you square it, you get A square plus B square plus 2AB cos theta. And from equation 2 we can substitute AB cos theta as A dot B. So you can see that this is the relationship between the resultant magnitude and the dot product. You can write it like this. So this is one important relationship. So if you think of substituting this information here, so we will come to this, that 10 square is equal to 8 square plus 6 square plus 2 times A dot B. But here what is happening, this is cancelling out. So in fact our dot product is becoming 0. But suppose it was not cancelling out, even then we could find the dot product from this. So here it's just a matter of chances coming out to be 0. But even if these two sides, the values are not cancelling, we could still find out. So for example, instead of this being 8 and 6, if they were 8 and 8 both of them, then this would have, A dot B would have been a negative quantity, because this would have been 64 plus 64, 128. So this would have become minus 14. A dot B would have become minus 14 in that case. So this is the general method that we can use. Or you can do a more indirect thing, that using this formula you can find cos theta and then substitute. Okay, but that all becomes more lengthy. There's a more direct way of dealing with the question. So that is the 10th question. Finish this, then we'll discuss 11th and 12th also. So 11th is pretty direct question. Okay, should not be too difficult. 11th you have to just substitute in the formula. Direction cosines of a vector are given to us and the magnitude is given to us. So it is like, given the direction cosines, cos alpha, cos beta and cos gamma are given to us as 3 by 13 Okay, minus 4 by 13. So if the direction cosines are given in a sequence of three values, now we always take that sequence as cos alpha, cos beta, and cos gamma. They are always written in that kind of order. Okay, and the magnitude of the vector is 65. So then we can say that Ax upon mod A is cos alpha. So therefore x component will be magnitude into cos alpha. So here it will become 65 into 3 by 13, so that will become 15. So similarly Ey will become E cos beta, so that will become minus 20, and Ez will become E cos gamma, so that is plus 60. So the vector E itself will be 15 I cap minus 20 plus 60 k cap. So if you cross check, you can verify that yes, this vector's magnitude will come out to be 65. You can check that yourself, and its direction cosines will come out to be those values 3 by 13, okay, 4 by 13, and so minus 4 by 13 and 12. These will come out to be this because we have used this only, so obviously the reverse also holds. Okay, so hope this is clear. Those of you had a doubt in this question. Okay, next 12th question. Let's look at that. So 12th is like the reverse of one of the questions we did. That was 10th question. In this, what is happening? A dot B is given to us. So that's minus 20. And magnitude of the vectors A and B is given to us. 4 and 5. Yeah, and from that we have to find this. So first, without using any formula and all that, we can just see by observation A dot B, which is AB cos theta, is coming out to be minus 20. So 4 into 5 into cos theta is coming out to be minus 20, which means that cos theta is minus 1, which means that theta is equal to 180 degrees. In fact, you didn't need to do all this calculation also. You can just see that A dot B is minus 20 and A is 4, B is 5. So that is showing you that A dot B is minus of AB. So that is directly showing you that cos theta must be minus 1. So just this much was required to understand. So now you know that when cos theta is minus 1, so for theta equal to 180 degrees, magnitude of A plus B actually becomes difference of their magnitudes. So it should become 1. So this is the simplest way of doing it, by just pure observation. Without using any formula and all that, you just observe this fact. If you are able to cleanly observe this thing, then you can immediately do the question by this. Okay. However, if you are not able to observe, then you can use the formula I told you, that E plus B's magnitude okay, so if you just square both the sides, you see this is A square plus B square plus 2 times A dot B. Now you can just substitute all that over. So you can see that 4 square plus 5 square plus 2 into minus 20. So that is 16 plus 25 minus 40. So that is 1. Let's see. That magnitude of A plus B ka whole square is 1. So here we won't take plus minus 1. We'll just take as 1 because it's a mod. It cannot be a negative quantity. But obviously if you have observed this, then it makes life a lot simpler. You don't have to solve so much. So keeping your eyes open while solving a question is very important also. Just blindly using the formula sometimes just wastes a lot of time. Okay, so we're done with the question, with the chapter. I mean, with the exercise. Any other questions? No. Okay, good. So now tell me if there's any doubts in the revision exercise, the one before this, the fourth one, revision assignment. Oh, question number 14. Wait, I solved that also. Okay. Okay, let's wind up with question 14 of this. Yeah, now question 14 is very simple. It says that two unit vectors are at an angle of 127 degrees with respect to each other. Okay. Then their dot product should equal how much? Okay. So let's say basically we have to find the dot product of two unit vectors. So that will be their product of their magnitudes, that is 1 into 1 into cos theta. And the angle between the two unit vectors, A cap and B cap, that angle is 127. So just substitute it here. So it's just cos 127, which you know is minus of cos 180 minus 127, or minus cos 53, which is minus 3 by 5, or minus 0.6. That should be our. Yes, that's correct. Minus 3 by 5. Okay, people, so this is done. And so we'll move ahead a little bit, since seems that you don't have doubts in the revision exercise, so that's good then. Okay, so hope this question is clear. Now we'll move on to the concept of projections or components of a vector with respect to another vector that we were discussing last time. So we were discussing about the projection of a vector, let's say A, parallel to another vector, let's say B. So this parallel to can also, we can also express it as along the vector B, or we can say it is on the vector B. So we had seen the formula for this already last time. Now using that formula we will see another concept today. Yeah, cross product is remaining, but we have to complete this before doing cross product. Cross product comes after this projection concept, because the projection concept is still the application of dot product. So suppose this is the vector B, this is the vector E, this angle is theta. Then what we do, you remember last time we discussed, is we drop a perpendicular from this onto this vector. Okay. And then what we understand is that if the perpendicular cuts a projection or a component of this much, then this one is called the parallel component. Okay. Now along with that we will also discuss and the projection of A perpendicular to B. We'll also discuss that today. So that one in this diagram is this, that if you draw the line perpendicular to B in the plane of A and B like this, then along this perpendicular direction also A is cutting a projection. So that projection is now called the perpendicular component or the perpendicular projection. So that is the second thing we'll learn, how to find it out. Okay. Yes, obviously it will be 0 if, so A parallel will be 0 if they are perpendicular, and A perpendicular will be 0 if they are parallel vectors. So that can always happen, but in the general case where the theta is neither 0 nor 180 degrees, both of these will exist. Okay, so here this one is the projection of A. Sometimes we say on B only. So on B means the same thing as along B. Okay, or that's the same thing as parallel to B. Okay. And this one is the projection of vector A perpendicular to B. Okay. So now last time we had already seen that the magnitude of this one is A cos theta. Okay, and its direction is along the unit vector B cap. So that is why we can write this vector as nothing but the magnitude into the direction in terms of unit vector. Okay. And then how do we express this from the given vectors? We understand that this A cos theta term is nothing but A dot B divided by magnitude of B. Okay, and the B cap is nothing but vector B divided by mod of B. So this we know. Okay, so we now know how to calculate this. Now for A perpendicular, so this is where the new thing starts for us today. To find the perpendicular component, what we do is, first of all we understand that the vector A is nothing but the sum of these two. See in the diagram, in dono ka sum vector A, this angle is 90. Okay. So therefore we can write A perpendicular as the vector A minus the parallel, this, or as a formula we can write it as it is the original vector A minus this thing A cos theta into B cap. Okay. So this becomes the formula for it, where A cos theta is this, and B cap is this. Okay, so just make a note of this new concept of perpendicular projection. So this is still part of the applications of dot product. When we finish these applications, we will come to the last part of vectors, which is cross product. Okay, so hope the formula is clear to all of you. So naturally, if it's a special case where theta is 0, then you can see that A parallel will become A itself, because cos theta is 1, like that. And A perpendicular will become 0, because whereas if it's a case where theta is 90, then the parallel component will become 0, because cos 90 is 0. And A perpendicular will become A itself. But this is not for that case, this is for a general case also. So let's look at an example for the application of this. So suppose vector E is given to us as, let's say, I cap or 2 I cap minus K cap, and vector B is given to us as 4 I cap plus 2 root 2 J cap plus 2 root 2 k cap. Okay. In fact, we will make the vector A as 2 j cap minus k cap. Okay. Now we want to find the projection of A on B, that is this. Okay. And the projection of A perpendicular to B. Okay. And show that the magnitude of this should be A sine theta. Because it's perpendicular, no? Where theta is the angle between. A and B. So this third part is a bit extra. We'll understand how to do it. Okay. So let's start with the first two parts. So always it helps if you draw a diagram to visualize the problem, though we'll be solving it by formula. So we don't really need the diagram, but it just helps to visualize what we're doing in the problem. So suppose this is my vector A and this is my vector B and the angle between them is theta. So what do I mean by the projection of A and B? I mean that I'm talking about this vector here, this one. This is my A parallel. So you can see that A parallel has a magnitude of A cos theta and its direction is along B. So this. So A cos theta will become A dot B divided by magnitude of B. So now from this let us calculate what is A dot B first of all. So A dot B is 0 into 4, that is AX BX, plus AY into BY, okay, plus AZ into BZ. So that is 2 root 2. Okay. And we can see that magnitude of the vector B is nothing but square root of 4 square plus 2 root 2 whole square plus 2 root 2 whole square. So 16 plus 8 plus 8. So that's 4 root 2. So this thing is becoming how much? It's becoming 2 root 2 divided by 4 root 2, so it's half. And B cap is nothing but vector B divided by its magnitude. So vector B is 4 I cap plus 2 root 2 j cap plus 2 root 2 k cap divided by its magnitude. Now its magnitude we just saw is 4 root 2. So we can write this as, we can take 2 common from this and cancel with this. So we will get 2 I cap plus, in fact, write this as write it like this. It's easier. So the parallel component will become A cos theta, which was 1 by 2, multiplied by B cap, which is this vector. This is the, so this is the first part. Okay. Just make a note of this quickly, then we'll discuss the second part. Okay, so people, hope this is clear. So we found the first part, the parallel component. Now how to find the second part, the perpendicular component? So for that we use this relation. So first of all, what is the perpendicular component? So for that you just draw a line which is perpendicular to the direction of B. This one. And then from A, so this is the A perpendicular vector. So you can see that the sum of these two vectors, A parallel and A perpendicular, is nothing but the vector E. So now we have already calculated A parallel. So A perpendicular will become the original vector A that we started with minus the parallel component that we calculated. So the original vector A was 2j cap minus k cap. This is what we've written up here. You can check 2j cap minus k cap. And from that we have to subtract this vector now. So that is minus of this whole thing. Okay. So when we subtract, we get minus 1 by 2 root 2 I cap. Okay. Plus 2 minus 1 by 4. So that will give us 7 by 4 j cap. Okay. Minus 1 by 4. So that will give us minus, this is the perpendicular projection. Whereas this was the parallel projection. So just make a note of this calculation first. Okay. Then we will come back to Okay, so hope this is clear. Now we'll come back to that thing of cos theta and sin theta. I mean, to prove that the magnitude of this A perpendicular is A sin theta. So third part, we want to show that magnitude of this should be A sin theta. So first of all, we have got this in component form like this. Okay. So magnitude of this one, so magnitude of the perpendicular component is easy to calculate. You can see it is these things. So this is 1 by 8 plus 49 by 16 plus 25 by 16. Okay. So that is 51 plus 25. So that is square root of 76 by 4. And that is square root of 99. Okay. So this is A perpendicular magnitude. So this is the left hand side of this equation. Now how we can show that it's equal to the right hand side? So the right hand side is sine theta. So I can see that the vector A was 2j cap minus k cap. So magnitude of the vector A was square root of 5. Okay. And since B was this one 4 I cap plus 2 root 2 plus 2 root 2 k cap, we have the formula for cos theta. So we can use that. So A dot B we had seen earlier, it was 2 root 2. Magnitude of A also we had seen just now is root 5. And magnitude of B we had seen was 2 root 2, was it? Or 4 root 2. Square root of 16 plus square root of 32, no? 4 root 2, sorry. So this magnitude was 4 root 2. Okay. So cos theta is becoming how much? It is becoming 1 by 2 root 5. So cos theta is 1 by 2 root 5 means sin theta is square root of 1 minus cos square theta. This comes from the identity sin square theta plus cos square theta is 1. So in general you can say plus minus, but it's like this. So here we'll just take the magnitude because we're taking the mod of that vector also anyway. So sin theta will become square root of square root of 19 by 20. That is sin theta. So you got sin theta, you got magnitude of A. So we can see that the right hand side is A sin theta equals to root 5 into root of 19 by 20. So that is root 5 into root 19 by 2 root 5. So that is square root of 19 by 2. Okay. And we had just seen that left hand side. Okay. So hence this particular question which would okay. So I'll just minimize this to you for a bit. You can go through this in detail once. So follow the first and second part very carefully once to understand how we have got the two projections, the parallel and the perpendicular one. Then we'll come to the next part, which is Okay, so I'll give you a comparatively easier version of this question. Easier in the sense that we'll discuss one which has two-dimensional vectors. So the vector A is suppose 2 root 3 I cap plus 2 j cap, and the vector B is 3 I cap plus 3 root 3 j cap. Now we want to find E parallel and E perpendicular, that is the projection of A on B and the projection of A perpendicular to B. Just work this out quickly, people. So Siddharth and Harsh, your first answers are correct, whereas you have to check the second part, both of you. Okay. So let's work this out. So the first part, A parallel, it is A cos theta into B cap, where A cos theta we know is given by this simple formula. So A dot B, you can see यहाँ पे कितना हो जाएगा? It is 2 root 3 into 3, so that is 6 root 3 plus again 6 root 3, so it is 12 3. Whereas B's magnitude you can see is 6, the square root of 9 plus 27, so that is square root of 36, so that is 6. Okay, so this should become 12 root 3 by 6 or 2 root 3, and B cap would be vector B divided by its magnitude, so that will become I cap by 2 plus root 3 j cap by 2. So from that you will get the parallel component as root 3 I cap plus 3 j cap. When you just substitute these two here, you will get this. Okay. So that is the first part. And the second part, just you have to subtract this one from A. So that will become 2 root 3 minus root 3, so that is root 3 I cap plus 2 minus 3, so that is minus j cap. Okay. So this is A perpendicular. Now you can also understand this question geometrically because it's two-dimensional. So we can do one more thing here. Alternately, we can come up with a geometrical solution. You can see that if this is your xy plane, it's really quite easy to understand that your vector A is like this. It is at 60 degrees. So the vector A was 2 root 3 I cap plus 2 j cap. So it is at 60 degrees with respect to the x-axis, and its magnitude is 4. Okay. Whereas if you look at the vector B, it is at 30 degrees to the x-axis. And its magnitude is in fact 6. So its magnitude is 6, but more importantly, this angle is 30 degrees. So the angle between the two vectors is 30 degrees. So when you drop this perpendicular here, your parallel component of A should become like this, be this one, and the perpendicular component of A should be this one, like this. So this should be A perpendicular, this should be A parallel. So that way it is quite easy to understand that A parallel will become 4 cos 30 into this unit vector, so that is cos 30 I cap plus sin 30 j cap. So that is 2 root 3 into root 3 by 2 I cap plus 1 by 2 j cap. That is how it becomes 3 I cap plus 3 j cap. Sorry. Yes. So this will become, wait, I made a mistake with the diagram. That is why I'm getting the wrong result here. So just redraw this. So it's the other way around actually. The vector E was at 30 degrees with respect to the x-axis and the vector V was at 60 degrees. So the case is slightly different. So the vector E was like this. Because it was this. Yeah. Okay. Whereas in comparison, the vector B, that one is like this. That is at a total angle of 60 degrees and its magnitude is this. Because it is 3 I cap plus 3 root 3 j cap. So this angle is 60 degrees. Okay. So that is why this theta is okay. This theta that we written, it is 30 degrees. But when we drop the perpendicular now, it's going to be like this. So the component of A parallel to B and the component of A perpendicular to B in the diagram are respectively going to be this one and this one, like this. Going to be like this. So this is A perpendicular, this is A parallel. Okay. So you can see from here that A parallel will be of magnitude 4 cos 30, but along a direction making a total angle of 60 with the x-axis. So it is cos 60 I cap plus sin 60 j cap. So this will become root 3 into 1 by 2 I cap plus root 3 by 2 j cap. So it will become root 3 I cap plus 3 j cap. So geometrically you can see that this and this are justified. And similarly now A perpendicular you can see will become A sine theta, so that is sine 30 degrees, but into this direction. So here this angle is 30 again because this is 90. So it is cos 30 I cap but minus sine 30 j cap because the y component is negative. So this is 4 into half plus into root 3 by 2 I cap minus 1 by 2 j cap. So this component should become root 3 I cap, okay, minus j cap. This is the perpendicular projection or perpendicular component, and this is what we have got above also. So that's why I said that this question is somewhat easier to handle because you can also justify it or verify the answer by geometrically drawing A and B. Okay, so anyway people, with that we conclude today's session. So understood the concept of the perpendicular component and the parallel component. Okay, and Siddharth and Harsh, you understood whatever steps you might have made mistake in because the second part of your answer has to be modified. The first part was okay. Okay. So this is where we conclude today, people, and one more lecture we'll complete the cross product of vectors, and then probably one more lecture for discussion of module exercise and doubts and all that, and then we'll move on from vectors to the next chapter. So start working accordingly. You can also start winding up the module exercise. Okay, you can start with exercise 1 and 2 in the next 10 days or so, including your Diwali vacation. You can try and finish off the module exercises for vectors. Okay. That's it for today's class, people. Wish you all the best.